Like a lot of dedicated employees, most mornings we're in the office well before sunrise. We tell stories around the water cooler. We've even got an employee washroom. And like every other office, we've got our share of turkeys. No, we're not that different. But our camo sure is.
From the Camo cameras straight to your home, Mossy Oak brings you the best in hunting videos. Exciting footage and the nation's best hunters sharing their secrets. Witness 10 great hunts on Megabucks 4, including a successful spot and stock bow hunt for a Boone and Crockett whitetail. Whistling Wings 4 covers waterfowl from border to border. And Extreme Spring is simply the best turkey video ever produced. Incredible hunting footage and tips sure to make you a better hunter. To order these or other great Mossy Oak videos, call 1-888-MOSSY-OAK. Successful wildlife restoration stories in this country, the comeback of the wild turkey may be the shining star in this arena. From the brink of extinction, the wild turkey is now a common sight in most of the United States and parts of Canada and Mexico. This turnaround has been the result of thousands of people focused on one goal: protecting and sustaining this nation's most spectacular game bird. The National Wild Turkey Federation has been paramount in this effort and is working harder than ever for the wild turkey. When the NWTF was founded in 1973, there were only 1.3 million turkeys throughout the United States. Since then, that number has more than tripled and now stands at 4.8 million birds thanks to the NWTF, its members, partners, and the state wildlife agencies. With that growth has come impressive strides in wild turkey restoration and habitat enhancement as the NWTF has forged dynamic partnerships across the country. Together, the NWTF's conservation partners and grassroots members have raised and spent more than $90 million on projects benefiting wild turkeys throughout the United States, Mexico, and Canada. As rich as these triumphs have been in raising funds to enhance wild turkey populations, there is still much work to do. With a growing force of member volunteers and dedicated partners, there is no limit to what can be accomplished. Mossy Oak is proud to be a long-standing partner with the NWTF, and we look forward to growing our relationship in the future. To find out how you can join the fun and help America's #1 game bird, call 1-800-THE-NWTF.
Big dead fence post right there. Yeah. Get up against that and face down the cornfield. Okay. I'm gonna slip back down and stay long. I'm gonna call, get up on my knees and tell you what they're doing. Okay. All right, ease on up there and just sit up against there, just like it's a tree. Okay. You're in good shape. Just get comfortable. You may be there a while. They're straight up underneath that old schoolhouse down in the very bottom. I don't know if you can see them or not.
Nope, he's just over that ridge, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna start calling to him. I'll tell you what's going on. He's strutting over to the right. Still in the corn. That one to the right acts like he might come. Sammy, you ready?
Yeah.
We're still down underneath the hill. One to the right, one to the left, kind of acting like he wants to come up here.
Yeah, I see him. Yep. I see his head now.
They're coming.
Yep. I see him. He's about, what, 60 yards out now?
Yeah, just wait.
Okay,
he's out of strut and he's walking this way. Safety off.
Do now. They're still strutting?
Yep, he's coming.
Okay.
Get the guy. It's gonna be both of them.
Okay.
Put the hunker down. You're gonna have to do your thing.
Okay. I'm down pretty good against this old fence post. Oh, good shape.
These turkeys are huge. 10 more steps. Take it. Bye. I was too far back. That's all right. Hey, you drove 900 miles to do that. All right, man.
Calling wildlife adds an exciting dimension to hunting. Learning to mimic the sounds of wild animals takes practice, patience, and many hours observing the animals in their environment. Turkey hunting is probably more associated with calling than any other form of hunting. The many sounds produced by the wild turkey are unique and can be reproduced on countless types of man-made calls that have been around for hundreds of years. Calling is certainly a big part of most turkey hunts, and it's often the only part you hear about. In reality, calling in an adult gobbler is just the final maneuver in a sequence that may have had many steps. For years, turkey hunters have passed along their idea of absolute guidelines for hunting spring gobblers. In any sport where nature has the final say, there are no absolutes. There are, however, some tips and tactics that can certainly help you make decisions. In the end, decisions are what turkey hunting is really all about. When to call, when to move, when to sit tight, and when to simply tip your hat to this country's most magnificent game bird, the wild turkey. For the most dedicated hunters, scouting for turkey sign is a year-long effort. For others, scouting begins a few days before turkey season and stops as soon as the opening day arrives. Obviously, the more time you can spend in the woods, the better. By starting your scouting efforts in January, you'll have a jump on most of the area's casual hunters. You don't have to trek miles of woods to gather all your information. Deer hunters can be a great source of information. They spend many days in the field each fall and may have many sightings during their long hours on stand. Turkeys do often move between fall and spring, so don't rely strictly on this for your information. Deer season sightings are great, but they aren't enough. Use your feet and walk the woods as much as possible during the weeks prior to season. Look for scratching in leaves and on the forest floor, feathers, and the best of all, fresh tracks. Try and figure out where turkeys are feeding and roosting. Ask people who often travel the country roads. The rural mailman can be a great person to ask if you're looking for areas where turkeys hang out. As the season draws near, gobbling activity should increase. When this magical time begins, your scouting becomes much easier. On calm mornings, a good listening point can reveal a gobbler's location. Make a mental note of where you hear him sound off and then move to another area. Try and have multiple locations by the time opening day rolls around. Another hunter may have been scouting the same area, and he may be sitting there on opening morning. One of the most common questions asked by new turkey hunters is, how close should I get when setting up to call a turkey on the roost? The answer to that is simple: as close as you can without spooking the turkey. What sounds simple is actually complicated. First, you have to know the terrain. Are there any obstacles that could stop the gobbler's progress to you? Creeks, fences, even thick cover can stop a gobbler dead in his tracks. You also need to determine how quiet you can make your approach. If you're walking in dry leaves, then you can't get very close. If the woods are damp and the foliage is heavy, you can get closer. If it's late in the year, when limbs are bare, naturally the gobbler can see much better. In these conditions, you'll need to set up much farther from him. Another thing to remember, in heavy foliage, the sound of the gobble will not carry as far. It's very easy to spook a gobbler off the roost under these conditions, so take your time when moving in. It's also a good idea to listen to more than one gobble if possible. If the gobbler is facing away from you, he will sound much farther away than when he's facing in your direction. You also need to realize that other turkeys are probably roosted nearby. The gobbler sounding off is very seldom the only turkey roosted in that area. The good rule of thumb is to err on the conservative side. You can always let the morning unfold and move as you need to. Most turkey hunters will tell you that calling to a gobbler when he's still in the tree is one of those things you should absolutely not do. In some cases, this is good advice. The thinking here is, if a gobbler is sounding off loud and often, then he may actually call up another hunter. Well, this could be true. If you're hunting an area you share with other hunters, then you don't want to have them walk into your setup. If this is the case, then try a soft yelp or tree call. If the gobbler answers, sit tight and listen for him to fly down. If the gobbler is sounding off and you can hear hens roosted nearby, then sometimes it's good to go ahead and get your name in the hat. If you know for a fact that hens are going to fly down around the gobbler, then you may want to be the first hen to hit the ground. If the gobbler has answered your first soft calls, try a more aggressive call like a fly-down cackle. There is a chance that the gobbler may at least fly down in your direction. It could even provoke him to fly down sooner. We all know that the reason a gobbler sits on the roost gobbling at sunrise is to call the hens to him. In most instances, the gobbler won't even fly down until he sees a hen walk in. In areas with heavy hunting pressure, this is almost always the case. The law of averages and experienced turkey hunters will tell you that the classic call him off the roost hunt seldom happens. In most cases, the gobbler will fly down to his hens, and it's then the real hunt begins. What should you do after the fly down is over and the gobbler that was sounding off on the roost has gone silent? Well, chances are the gobbler simply moved away with hens that were roosted nearby. This is most often the case. Some people think that their calling was bad or that they were spotted by the gobbler. 9 times out of 10, however, it was just hens that were the problem. There are several things to do once you're convinced the gobbler has flown down and moved on. You can try to keep the gobbler sounding off to determine the direction the group is headed. Use a loud, sharp call to provoke responses from the gobbler. Use a high-pitched box call, or maybe a loud slate can serve as your locator. Try and get in front of the flock and cut them off. If you scouted the area ahead of time, you may have a good idea where they're headed. It could be a field, a favorite ridge, or maybe a pasture. If the turkeys get away clean, you may want to leave the area and come back a few hours later. Knowing when to get up and move will come with experience. Keep in mind that gobbling may cease, but other more subtle sounds like scratching in the leaves, drumming of the gobbler, or soft hen sounds may reveal that the turkeys are still nearby. Remember, as the morning goes on, hens may leave, and your chances of calling that gobbler in get better, so hang with them as long as possible.
Boy, you know, Cuz said those Rios, when they hit the ground, they do some traveling, and these guys, they just seem like they just keep going and going.
This looks like a good spot right over here.
Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to where we last heard him anyway, so I think this may be a very good spot to set up. It's nice and open in here.
Yeah.
This looks like a real nice opening to set up in and try to pull him in here. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right, let's get him.
I'm gonna get back at the table.
All right.
We'll get after it.
Justin, why don't you go ahead and start on that box call? He's been answering that all morning. He gobbled at it. He's getting closer. Coming in. He's real close. All right, man. What do you think?
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
That was a great hunt. I'll tell you what. He put on a nice show, didn't he?
Sure did. Sure did.
Well, these Rios, they are just gorgeous. I've always wanted to get one of these. Look at that fan.
That's gorgeous.
Man, that is beautiful. I love these buff colors here.
Mm-hmm.
That is just nice. And he came in, I thought he might circle around and go behind us, and And
He turned there
yeah.
at the last second, just came right out.
right, he came over there and he stood for a while behind that bush. I got a little nervous, you know, a little anxious, but he stepped right out in the open there and gave me a good clean shot, about 25 yards. That was a great hunt.
Well, now it's time to go to work. Let's go get the camera.
Let's go get him.
I got to go.
For many veteran turkey hunters, the move and call tactic of turkey hunting has resulted in more encounters with gobblers than any other. The first aspect of locating, or what some hunters call cutting and running, is safety. The last thing you want to do is walk through the turkey woods making turkey sounds. Unfortunately, there will always be some people in the woods who don't make safety their #1 priority. The move and call tactic simply means moving from one location to another to try and provoke a gobbler to sound off. This tactic can work well any time of the day. If you plan to hunt in the afternoon, check your state regulations carefully. Many states allow hunting only until midday. Once you've decided to walk the woods in search of a responsive gobbler, keep in mind that other hunters may be using the same tactic. Each time you decide to stop and make a call, pick your location carefully. Go ahead and find a place to set up. If possible, find a large tree and sit down. Take a few minutes to settle down and listen for turkeys scratching in the leaves and for hunters walking nearby.
There he is. Same old bird, same old place. Oh man, everybody asks me about locator calls. What's the most important one? When do you use what? I'll be honest with you, I carry a little bit of everything from a duck call, crow call, owl hooter, red-tailed hawk, diaphragm, box call, slate calls. I guess you'd say I look like a Pillsbury Doughboy whenever I go in the woods with all the stuff I've got with me. If you notice what I was doing right here, I was stopping, doing a locator call, moving up, doing a different type of locator call. Carry several different types of locator calls with you, and most importantly, keep that positive attitude. I will find him. I will make him gobble. I will make him sound off. And before I actually get into the different types of calls that they are, I'm going to tell you this. When you do stop, take a moment, look around, find you a tree. So if he gobbles right there at you at 40, 50, 60 yards, all you got to do is sit there and get next to a tree. You're ready, you're set up. Now, I started on something a while ago, let's go back to it. I like to mix my locator calls up. First one might be a crow call. Next one might be an owl hooter. Next one might be a turkey call. I try them all. Never walk and call. I'll probably tell you that 2 or 3 times throughout this little piece, but never walk and call. Several different reasons. Number 1, you can't hear him whenever he gobbles. Number 2, the most important one, is always safety. But by mixing up different sounds and going from maybe a duck to an owl to a crow to a pileated woodpecker to a red-tailed hawk, whatever it may be, you might hit that one sound that he wants to hear that particular day that truly makes him sound off. If you are using a turkey call, if you are making a turkey type sound, make beyond a shadow of a doubt for sure that you are sitting. Let's say right here there's a big tree. I'm going to walk up right beside that big tree and I'm going to be standing right here. Generally speaking, something sharp, something crisp, something strong. Cutting is extremely good. This is what cutting sounds like. That pause in there, that little short stop in there, that little quickness in there, so many times, that's what makes them gobble. And it doesn't matter what you're using. Red-tailed hawk. Crow call. So many times, I'll bite down on the crow call to use it more of a shriller type sound. Duck call, whatever it may be. just remember one most important thing. Never walk and call.
If none of your calls get an answer, sit for a while in case a gobbler is moving in silently. When you're satisfied that nothing is coming, simply move to another area and try again. Remember, don't walk and call at the same time. The difficulty of calling real turkeys is oftentimes a bit overblown. If you've ever attended a turkey calling contest, then you're aware that many of today's callers can reproduce turkey sounds better than the turkeys themselves. These contests can help anyone learn how to improve his or her calling ability, but keep in mind that the real judges are the turkeys. In the end, the most important part of turkey hunting is geography. If you're in an area that holds turkeys and you put yourself in a good position, almost any calling will close the deal. Here are some basic calls that need to be a part of your bag of tricks. These sounds can be made on almost any calling device. Probably the most popular call and the easiest to use is the box call. A simple one-sided box call will make all the basic calls you need to start out. The basic yelp and the cluck have called in more turkeys than any other call. The yelp can also be easily produced with a slate call. Today, the diaphragm or mouth call is used by most veteran hunters and offers the added bonus of hands-free use. This is truly a big plus, and it is certainly a call that you should familiarize yourself with.
Y'all have just heard the two most important calls that you need to learn how to use if you're just starting to learn how to turkey hunt. I'm going to talk most today about diaphragm turkey calls. Diaphragms sometimes can be very, very difficult to learn how to use. The first thing I tell people with a diaphragm is to place the collar in your mouth with the open end, this is the open end, pointing out. Walk around with the collar in your mouth. Don't try to make a sound. Just get used to a couple of things that may or may not happen to you. One thing is you might have a gagging sensation. After all, this is something foreign going into your mouth. And you might have a hard time learning how to control the saliva flow. So let's get over that first before we ever try to make a sound. An illustration that I'm going to give y'all today is this. Think of a kid if they've taken a balloon, just a regular old cheap balloon, have sliced it up. And they put it in between their lips and they blow on it. The tighter they stretch that rubber, the higher the note. The lesser amount of tension, the lower the note. Well, that's the basics behind a diaphragm. Let's imagine my finger is my tongue. As I push up against this rubber reed, I'm going to make a higher note simply because I'm stretching the rubber. As I release the tongue pressure off this rubber reed, I'll get a lower note. Just taught y'all how to do a basic yelp. High, low, high, low. But let's back up just a little bit further. Let's get the very first sound. And it might sound kind of weird, but just make a sound. Doesn't matter how funny it may be. And if it's tickling your tongue, bend the tip of your tongue down just a little bit more. Let's get that first most important sound. And remember, we call these diaphragm calls. Air needs to come from the chest. It's almost like huffing, huffing, huffing. If you've ever blown a musical instrument, or if you've ever sang, you already know where the air needs to come from. First sound. Sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But that's great. If you've gotten that far, you're on the road now. You can do it. I promise you, you can do it. So now let's put the collar back in the mouth again. Remember, open end pointing out. Remember this too, the air is going in between my tongue and the collar. And let's start playing with some tongue pressure, pushing my tongue up, bringing it down, up, down, up, down. And we are trying to get a very smooth rhythm. I wouldn't want to call like this. You want to talk very smoothly, very fluently. Now let's work on the cluck. Cluck is just a single note. Some people like to use word associations. With a yelp, it could be chick or chuck. With a cluck, it could be pick or pack. Now the cluck. Now let's put them together. Remember, rhythm and cadence is the most important thing to being a good turkey caller. Well, I guess I should say really a good turkey hunter. What do we mean by that? Let's think about it just a moment. Think of the human language. If I'm speaking very softly, then that's what I'm communicating to who I'm speaking with. If I get excited, what am I going to do? I'm going to talk quicker, I'm going to talk faster. That is what we mean by cadence. Example, soft calling, close in hunting. Bird's just right there, he's 60 yards away. I need to bring him just another more step or two. But now let's say I want to pump him up a little bit, I want to fire him up a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit faster. I'm going to get a little bit stronger. I'm going to get a little bit more excited. And remember, the two main advantages of a diaphragm are completely unaffected by the weather and hands-free.
Like people, turkeys have different voices and they produce personalized sounds. They make mistakes when calling, so don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect. Some of the worst sounds you'll hear in the spring woods will come from the turkeys. In the beginning, concentrate on one or two calling devices and spend most of your time locating turkeys.
This turkey isn't that far. And well, they'll cross that creek. They do that, son. Did you hear the gobble on that turkey up there? It's got a long gobble. I'll sit right there. You sit behind me. Nice thing about that, far enough apart, we can work both of them. That's exactly right. This one could come right down here, and those may come this way. I hadn't heard a hen with them yet either.
All right, I'm gonna check them.
I'm ready. He's still up there, Bob. There's two of them.
No, this time that wasn't the turkey on the left.
No, the turkey on the left, still up there on that ridge. Boy, he's got a gobble on him.
They're working their way together, but the bad news is they're all on the other side of the creek.
Well, we just gotta make them want to come on this side of the creek. Be sexy to them. They'll come. You know how they cross those creeks at home all the time. Oh, you got that one to gobble that time. Boy, he's got a pretty gobble.
Bill, get your slate out. Let's try to sound like a bunch of hens feeding on this side of this hill. They're coming together. Turkey on the left's moving this way.
I'm gonna cross the creek right there. All right, lay it out and I'll follow.
They ain't like that. Man, they're just right there, y'all. Just right there. Oh, easy, easy. There they come. There they come. They just came across the ditch.
I see him. I see him. I see him. I see him. I see him.
Two of them.
Oh, there's three. They gonna come up the ridge. Want to move when it gets behind that tree. Okay. The turkey's going down the ridge. Yep to him. Yep to him. Make it come out straight. When he comes, his head's behind that tree. If he comes around that tree, I'm gonna kill him. You gotta make him come out straight. When he comes behind that tree, I'm gonna shoot him. Yep, cut.
Yo, get on the deck. I think I pulled that thing, wasn't I? I got too old for them chases.
Whoa.
I noticed that when we were running up through the wood. That's when 3.5-inch mags make a difference.
That Remington smoked him.
Yeah, I can't
I'm
go
telling you.
I've hit trees half that.
And you know, there was a good bit of pattern on the trees behind it. You know what Mr. Fox said? I'd rather be lucky than good anytime.
I think you're
No animal is more naturally wary or has better vision than the wild turkey. The ability of a wild turkey to pick a hunter out is legendary. The proper use of camouflage is one area that turkey hunters have to master. Total concealment and attention to detail is a must. Make sure that you and all your gear are totally camouflaged. This means face, hands, gun, boots, and anything else you carry in the turkey woods. Carry extra gloves and head nets in your vest or pack in case you lose these items during a hunt. If possible, try and set up in the shade. Direct sunlight is something that you should avoid at all times. With today's camo patterns like Mossy Oak's breakup and shadow leaf patterns, you can set up in any terrain and go undetected. The key is remaining motionless, especially when turkeys are in close. To achieve this, you must get comfortable when you first set up. A seat cushion is a great aid in accomplishing this. Always prepare for a long wait. You never know how long you'll be sitting in one spot. In all the sports world, nothing generates more tension or emotional excitement than turkey hunting. This is why a commitment to safety is the #1 priority with all turkey hunters. Memorize the turkey hunting safety rules and make sure your hunting partners know them as well as you do. 1. Always avoid the colors red, white, and blue. Those colors are associated with a gobbler and should never be part of your clothing or accessories. 2. Never move into an area where you think others may be hunting. If you see another vehicle or even think someone is hunting nearby, avoid that area. 3. If another hunter approaches your setup, don't shout or wave. Speak to him in a normal voice. Hey, I'm over here. 4. Never walk and call at the same time. Pick your spots to stop and call. Go ahead and set up and take a few minutes to listen and observe before calling. 5. Identify the turkey as a gobbler. Look for the beard or spurs. Make sure what you're seeing is a gobbler. Look behind and beyond your target and stay calm. 6. Always practice safe gun handling. Never load your firearm until you're in the woods and hunting. Unload it when crossing streams or fences, and make sure your hunting partners do the same. All of us at Mossy Oak hope that you learned something from this video. Turkey hunting is special and truly a unique part of this country's outdoor heritage. The wild turkey is also special and deserves the respect of everyone who takes to the field in the ethical pursuit of this nation's greatest game bird. Hunt safe, hunt ethically, and good luck this spring.
You know, here at Mossy Oak, we're not that different from other companies. Like a lot of dedicated employees, most mornings we're in the office well before sunrise. We tell stories around the water cooler. We've even got an employee washroom. And like every other office, we've got our share of turkeys. No, we're not that different. But our camo sure is.